Here we have the ever popular spider plant. This one has stood the test of time as one of the best and most classic houseplants that you can keep within your homes. Not only is it very easy to care for, but it's also great for air purification. It's one of the great plants for that. I always recommend people keeping them in their bathroom because they actually grab airborne mold spores and they consume them and they pump out clean oxygen for us. So it's a great plant to have for that reason. Also, if you're worried about any of your pets, this is also a pet-friendly plant. And I've also read, although I'm not 100% sure how much research there is, but I have read that their leaves, when cats consume their leaves, it's like a hallucinogenic for them. So it's kind of a funny little tidbit. But anyway, let's get into the care instructions for this guy. First of all, we always start with light, right? So these plants are going to need very bright light. The non-variegated version, this is a variegated spider plant, you can tell by the white stripes there. The non-variegated version can withstand more lower light, but whenever I have a plant that's variegated like this, I like to put it right up in the window in super bright light because all of these white parts of the plant are not photosynthesizing. So we need to maximize the parts of the plant that are photosynthesizing to keep this plant very healthy. All right, next we'll talk about watering. So during the spring and the summer months, it's actively growing. And so that's when I like to let it dry out about 25% in between watering. And during the fall and the winter months, I let it dry out about 50% in between watering. Now, that's not a perfect science, about the 25% and the 50%. So if you notice your plant go very limp and kind of start drooping and the leaves don't feel quite as rigid as they usually are, that's also a good time to know when to water. So if you aren't quite sure what 25% and 50% are, that's also a good way that you can know. They will also start to fade a little bit when they fade in color when they need to be watered. So that's another way to know how. That's why it's one of those easy plants. It communicates with you when it needs to have water. As far as fertilizing goes, these guys will do great with some fertilizer during their growing season. I just apply a well-balanced fertilizer as directed on the packaging. You can use liquid soluble or you can use a granule fertilizer. Certainly doesn't matter. These plants will propagate by babies. This one doesn't have any on it right now. I'll grab one that does really quick. This one does have babies here, so you can see it'll grow off these little umbilical cords, I call them, and they put out these little babies. Now, when the babies grow large enough to have little roots on the end, you can just clip them off and replant them. You can have new baby spider plants, so that's always a fun little propagation project. But other than that, that's going to take care of it for the care instructions for the spider plant. This is a variegated version. If you have any questions about that, let me know in the comments section below, or you can always message me on Tanner the Planner on Facebook or Instagram.